So what happens when you leave and stay gone? Let's talk about some of the long-term effects of leaving organized religion. In my case, the long-term effects of being a recovering ex-Jehovah Witness. What's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to the LadySpeech experience. It's your favorite goddess king. It's your favorite pirate captain. It's your favorite reverend healer. It's your favorite LadySpeech in the place to be. And I want to welcome you back to my channel. You could be anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you are choosing to share just a little bit of time and just a little space with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Now, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling any of this, if you're feeling any of me, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can keep up with everything I'm putting down over here. Now, let's get into today's video, shall we? Now, as you may or may not know from the title and the intro of this video, or because you've been on this channel, you've been following me for a while, I am a recovering, surviving ex-Jehovah Witness. I have a whole playlist about it. Go check it out, okay? But today I wanted to do a video because, number one, it's been a minute since I have done a video. But the other day I was reflecting on the fact that I've been gone for 20 years. I've been gone for a little bit over 20 years. And one of the best decisions that I ever made for my life is walking away from the Jehovah Witness fold, the Jehovah Witness cult. Now, I've talked a lot about a few different aspects of what it is to be a recovering Jehovah Witness. But today we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to get into some long-term effects, because it's one thing to leave, but it's another thing to stay gone. So let's talk about some of the things that has happened to me and you might experience if you leave the Jehovah Witness fold or other similar organized religions. Let's get into it. So let's start out with talking about the trauma of losing community and how this may affect you and how it definitely affected me. So I walked away from being a Jehovah Witness when I was 18 years old, and I did not look back. But for the bulk of my life, my community, a large part of my community was centered around being a Jehovah Witness. So when you walk away from that religion, you walk away from family, you walk away from friends, you walk away from long-term relationships. Now, within the Jehovah Witness cult, within the Jehovah Witness fold, one of the things that happens is disfellowshipping or disassociation. Now, I was never disfellowshipped because I was never baptized, but I am considered bad association. So it is highly encouraged that my family, my old friends, do not have any type of dealings with me, or very minimal to very little dealings with me, okay? Now, this is traumatic. I'm not even gonna lie. That's traumatic. That's traumatic. It's traumatic losing your entire community. It's traumatic knowing that you cannot go back to your friends group because you weren't considered someone who is worthy of being associated with. So how did this affect me long-term and moving forward? Well, that was trauma. Losing the community that I had the way that I did, it was trauma, even though I was the one who elected to walk away. And even though I knew then, and I definitely, it's been reinforced now that I've been away for a while, that was the best decision for me. But that doesn't minimize the trauma. What that caused me to do with relationships is hang on to folks and hang on to relationships that were no longer serving me longer than I needed to. I very much know that the influence of that trauma of losing my entire community made me attach to and hang on later on in life to relationships that weren't that great for me longer than I needed to. Because of all of the abuse and the things that I suffered under being Jehovah Witness, and it's not just being the Jehovah Witness, but a lot of those things are reinforced by that, my bar for relationships was not that high. It wasn't that high, especially in my early 20s, especially in my late teens, especially when I first walked away and was figuring out and forming and creating my own community. The bar for relationships was kind of low. I had to learn how to value myself. I had to learn how to expect more. I had to learn that I was allowed to expect more. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I'm in a good space now, but it's been a journey. But one of the long-term effects that I had to do a lot of healing and work around was the fact that I deserved better treatment from from people. And I know it for a fact that the trauma of losing my entire community made me just attached to toxic people, made me attached to people who really weren't good for me for longer than I needed to. So I had to do a whole lot of work around that. So let's talk about one of the positive long-term side effects of exiting the Jehovah Witness fold. I knew when I was a Jehovah Witness that I did not have a problem with God. I had a problem with that spiritual system. I was connecting. There are ways in which I would connect, especially when it came to my own individual prayers. I knew that I was connecting with Creator, with Spirit, with whatever you want to call it. I knew I was connecting. But one of the biggest things that the side effects that came from leaving the Jehovah Witness is the fact that I came in contact with so many different spiritual systems, and it created a appreciation for the way that other people connect with Creator. When I left, I knew that I still wanted to practice. I craved a spiritual interaction. I knew that that was going to be a huge part of my world. I had already experienced so many occult things that I wasn't able to express and to talk about and to learn about, you know, formally while I was under the Jehovah Witness influence. But as I was leaving, I knew that I was connected. I just knew I was connected. So it caused me to go on a journey, and I ended up studying many different spiritual forms and practices, from Islam and Sufism to all types of things in the occult. And now I have developed such an appreciation and such a love for the way different people practice their spirituality and for the way different people connect with God and Creator. And through that experience, I believe that I've seen God in so many forms. I've seen Creator in so many different religions. And so this is a positive thing that I take from having left the Jehovah Witness fold and having stayed gone. I'm always interested in learning about people's different cultural experiences and cultural expressions of God. And because of that, I've been invited to worship and practice and be in ceremony and ritual with so many different types of people from all walks of life. And I consider that such an honor and such a privilege. Straight up PTSD. Straight up PTSD. Yeah, that's some of the long-term effects. One of the long-term effects that you experience, that I experienced from leaving the Jehovah Witness organized religion. Straight up PTSD. From two things: from experiencing my own abuse and having it be justified by the elders, by the leaders, by scripture, and then watching the abuse of other people. My stepmother, the emotional abuse that she was put through because of my father, the financial abuse that she was put through, but also the abuse of my friends and my peers. I was getting beat down at home. I was getting manhandled beyond belief. There would be days and weeks where I could not go. We couldn't show up at the meetings because my face looked like ground beef, because I was so swollen, because I couldn't walk properly. And all of that abuse being justified by the elders, by scripture. And even I remember the one time I really tried to make a plea and tried to really get some help, and basically they put me in more danger. Basically it all boiled down to, well, it's your fault. All of it is your fault. Your dad is justified in treating you the way that he's treating you, which in turn made my situation worse at home. So the PTSD that contributed to. Also, watching my friends, like I said, watching women, hearing the stories behind the scenes of women being abused and them being locked into that situation with no escape because they were so indoctrinated. Watching other children, watching other peers receiving the same type of beyond corporal punishment. This straight up sadistic abuse and not being able to say anything. So the long-term PTSD, complex PTSD, all of it that comes from that is a lot. And not to mention the spiritual abuse itself, like the way that you are abused into your worship, that has a long-term effect as well. So I have actively and still actively work a lot around that and the effects that I feel because of everything that went down all of those years ago. As much of a hedonist and pro-pleasure person that I currently am, it took a lot and a long time to get here. One of the most devastating long-term effects of leaving the Jehovah Witness fold was the guilt that I harbored around pleasure. I no longer harbor this guilt, but it took a long time to work through that. It took a long time to not experience guilt when it came to sexual pleasure, intellectual pleasure, emotional pleasure, pleasure in general. I had a lot of guilt for a very long time when it came to pleasuring myself, when it came to other people pleasuring me, when it came to just receiving pleasure and joy in general. And that was a crazy existence to live, especially in my early 20s, because I chased pleasure a lot. I was chasing joy a lot, but it was this constant pendulum swinging back and forth of having these moments and cultivating these spaces of ecstatic joy and of ecstatic pleasure, of ecstatic just goodness, and then the crippling guilt that I would end up feeling after a lot of those experiences. It took a while for me to work through that. I'm glad I worked through it, and I'm glad I stayed dedicated to it. Now I experience pleasure in the most guilt-free spaces possible, but it took a minute. It took a minute. And because of that guilt, there was so much, as much as I was chasing pleasure and creating these experiences where pleasure was had and joy was celebrated, I also denied myself a lot because of the extreme guilt that I used to feel. Not there anymore, but it took a long time to work through that. With all that being said, are you a recovering ex-Jehovah Witness? If so, let me know in the comments what your experience has been. What is one of your top 3 things, long-term side effects that you have experienced from being away from the Jehovah Witness fold? Are you someone who, maybe you're not an ex-Jehovah Witness, but you're an ex-Catholic, you're an ex-7-day Adventist, you're an ex-Mormon, you've left organized religion? Let me know in the comments what are some long-term effects that you've experienced. And this is for folks who've been gone for at least 5 years, 10 years plus, okay? I want to know what your experience has been. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I didn't want to take up all your time. I just wanted to take up a little bit of your time. I wanted to get this off my chest. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, I was really thinking about what the long-term effects were. Again, there are good things and there are bad things, and if you want me to do another video about this, I certainly can. But no matter what, the best decision, one of the best decisions I made for myself was leaving the Jehovah Witness fold. I was able to create the life of my dreams, and I would do it again and again if given the chance. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you. I want to thank you for your time and your attention. I'm gonna let you go because it's time now. But if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling any of this, if you're feeling any of me, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can keep up with everything I'm putting down over here. Now, just in case no one has told you today, you are absolutely fabulous and so brave for choosing yourself and walking away from organized religion. Now, you have yourself a good morning, a good afternoon, a good day, a good evening, a good month, a good week, a good year, a good whenever you encounter this video. And I will see you, God, Goddess, Creator, Lawa, Orisha, ancestors willing, in the next video.